I am becoming God's prodigy. I am becoming God's
Hello and welcome back to Becoming God's Prodigy, you guys. Thank you all for joining with us today. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for your support. This podcast is for anyone that's looking to transform their journey, find their purpose, and grow in Christ. Today we have a very special guest with me, my friend April Kelly.
Yes.
April, thank you so much for joining the
Absolutely.
show.
Yes, glad to be here.
Please tell everyone about yourself before we jump into today's segment.
Okay, so I'm April. I like to introduce myself as the CEO and startup supermom of a company called Tavi.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are a plant-based infant formula trailblazing in the allergen-conscious space.
Ma'am.
So excited about that. I try to share that wherever I go. In addition, I'm a mom of 4 and also a podcast co-host as well.
Yes,
so I'm happy to
ma'am.
be here.
Shout out your podcast, honey. We
Yes.
here. Go ahead.
Listen,
Use the platform.
shout out to the BFFX podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
We're all about the Black female formula to success and what that means to you. So we share our experience and it's really about debunking that there is a one-size-fits-all formula. And so we share what works for us, and you can feel free to add and subtract and create your own.
Yes, so y'all make sure that you tune in. And what
Yes.
platforms can you find this on?
YouTube and Patreon.
Okay, there
Yes.
you go. Y'all got it. So today, actually, April, I want to talk about, and you know, when you came to me with the topic, because I didn't know where to kind of go today, but it's right on time.
Good.
And the tension of purpose and balancing or living a sacrificed life versus a soft life.
Yes.
And I know we live in a culture where it's like, I'm in my soft girl era. I'm in my soft girl. But baby, the sacrifice life
No,
and the
seriously.
calling, the purpose,
Seriously.
it ain't too soft. And it's just not. So what does soft life mean to you?
A lot of what you said.
Yeah.
It's the trendy things that I think about that we hear on social media so often, on IG. It makes it look good. And that's what I think of. I think of taking care of yourself. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I just think that we have to incorporate that with the sacrifice life as well, especially if we're calling ourselves to the standard of holiness. And holiness is not an easy thing, you know, and it's not that it's all hard or all bad, but we got to be honest about the holistic perspective of what that truly means. And it can be soft sometimes, and it can be sacrificed sometimes.
Yeah, it can be
And so
heavy.
it can be. It can be
heavy.
weighty.
Yeah,
We were talking about that earlier, but absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so important that you are surrounded by other individuals that get that. That it's not always just going to be the soft and the simple. Sometimes it's going to have those trade-offs, those difficult challenges, and to be covered by people who understand it and get it, but also are willing to carry that weightiness with you.
Yeah. And it's like you said, you have to be covered with people that understand what you're going through. Environment is everything. I say that all the time. I don't, you can be the best person, but if you're in the worst environment, like how can you thrive? Right. So, and when I think about, living the soft life, that's rest. That's like, I'm just kind of easing into things versus like sacrifice. Like I said, it's heavy. To like when I think of sacrifices, that's everything that you want to do, but God is telling you to do otherwise. And then it comes down to a means of obedience, right? And then and then you're trying to figure out like, how much of my purpose am I willing to like go after pretty much, or like how far to what means am I willing to go and at sacrificing what, like,
Yeah, I get that. And I'm in a space where, I'm really okay with challenging culture. And so I love things about the soft life. So I'm not here to say, we need to live a hard life.
Right.
But I am here to say that, okay, when culture says one thing, how are we filtering it up through the standard of holiness and the pieces that fall outside of what culture says is okay? How are we handling that? How are we processing that? What do we have to say about that? What does the Bible say about that? Because even right now, my kids and I, I'm teaching them this little jingle about the fruits of the Spirit so they can remember it. And so we were talking about long suffering, and my daughter was like, is that a good thing? Like, is it good that there's long suffering? I don't want to suffer. But the truth of the matter is, and I was telling her about Jesus and his experience here on earth, and the fact that he experienced a lot of things that we experience as well as humans. And part of that was long suffering.
Yeah.
And so when we think of long suffering, do you think of soft life? Because I don't.
Me either.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think my issue is not really my issue, but my struggle, it's not really with culture. It's with self. Like it really is with self. And I feel like God has me in a position right now where that long suffering, that's why I was like,
I'm telling you.
hold on, wait a
I'm
minute.
telling you. I'm
Like you
telling
know,
you.
like patience and just being okay when everything's not okay. Like, you know, like putting my trust in God and not trying to, because I'm very much of a, I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
One way or another, I'm going to get it done. I can rely on me. I'm going to get it done. And I think also, like, obviously God knows that about me.
Right.
And it's like, girl, it's not about you. You're going to rely on me. And you're going to sit here and you're going to wait. And that's something that I really struggle with. And then I have the tendency, and y'all know I keep it real, I keep it raw with y'all here. But I have the tendency when I'm in that like waiting season, like I get frustrated and I'm like, well, you know what, God, I don't see nothing happening. I'm just not gonna do nothing at all.
Yeah.
How about that? You know?
Yeah, I feel
It's
like which
who
is
you
common
truly hurting?
with a lot of us.
Yeah.
With a lot of us,
Yeah.
it gets frustrating. We are human. We are living a very human experience. So we do feel the frustration. We do feel the anger. We do feel even at times the competition when we look to our left or our right and our friends or our sisters or people that are surrounding us don't seem to be going through that same long suffering. They
that
seem to be going through their, season of harvest. And we're just like, okay, God. Like, what we doing here?
Yeah.
So I think that it's fine to feel those things. And then let me ask you, what do you do with those feelings?
Truthfully and honestly, it just it depends.
Yeah.
Like, I want to say like really last month, I was on a break anyway because of just vacation and life and just trying to like still like have some time to myself without like feeling like I'm on go. But also too, it was kind of convenient because, the last time I think we had like a really in-depth conversation, I'm like, oh girl, I feel the harvest coming. The harvest is here.
Yes.
Like,
It
I'm
was
like,
already coming through a little bit,
I'm like, yes. Like, and then I don't know what happened, April. It's like I put my mouth on it and I don't know. I don't know what happened. And it just like took a turn, a complete 180. Right. And I'm like, okay, wait, things were happening. Now they're not. I really don't feel sure about anything. Right. And so at first I was like, praying. Like I've said it before, like prayer is like my comfort. Like one thing that I know I do well is pray. Right. So I'm like, okay, yes. And I feel like the most close to God when I pray. So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. But then, that devil get busy and I was letting them be busy too. Like, I'm just like, fair. I'm like, I'm not even in the mood to pray. I don't. So it just kind of like, to answer your question, just kind of like depends, and it shouldn't. I know that it shouldn't, and that's something that I'm asking God, like, help me to still, even when nothing's happening that I can see with my natural eye, like help me, because and Bishop always talks about our tendencies too, and like what are we gonna do, and the Lord knows that, and I think it's a matter of Him like challenging my heart, like to see where my heart is at, to see if I'm really gonna still like seek Him when His hand's not moving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does make sense. And what it reminds me of when you talked about like the switch and how quickly it happened. So my husband is doing stocks right now. Like that's his thing. And that's what he's going to transition into from the studio and what he does right now full time. And so one of the things that I've learned in, researching stocks on my own, but also watching him, is that even if there are ups and downs in the graph, as long as it's still trending up, it's a good stock to trade. Yeah. It's a good stock to trade, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like even listening to what you're saying as far as how things are changing, when you take a step back and look at your life and look at the growth and the development and the maturity and just the strength that you've gained along the way, you're still trending in the right direction.
Right.
And because you're still seeking to serve and pursue God. And He already knows we're not going to always get it right.
Yeah.
And He knows He's going to flip some things on us. You know what I'm saying? So he already knows.
God got to flipping and reversing that thing, honey. I said, oh, hold up. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So
I feel like when you have those moments happen, what I'm starting to do, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm realizing that this is a lifelong thing. It's going to be a lifelong experience of the ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay, reminding ourselves of what Bishop has said about, life has trouble built in it. So it's not
Right.
coming as a surprise to us that it flips, that life flips, every now and then. But it's just understanding that at the end of the day, I'm not stopping my pursuit of God. And along the way, even the ups and downs are all working together for my favor.
Because and even this week, so last week's sermon, when Bishop was preaching on the sacrifice of worry, that's what I've been practicing all week. Just kind of like referring back to like scripture. Like I get worried about something because, like she said, and like the Bible says, like if the enemy will flee, So I'm like, get a song in my heart, whatever it is. I'm not worrying about it because I do feel like God has me in a position right now that it's about sacrifice. Everything, sacrificing what I've known, sacrificing what I want to do versus where He wants to take me. I think just right now it's like monumental into my purpose, if that makes any sense. So that's why when you came with this topic, I was like, oh girl, look at God work. He always works.
I feel that though, and that is the season that I'm in too. Of sacrifice and surrendering on a whole different level. Because I feel like it's levels to everything, as is surrender. Because I've given God my yes several times before, but as I grow, I feel like it creates more space for me to give Him even more access. And so in this season, it is about sacrifice. And it's so crazy though, because even though we're talking about soft life versus a sacrifice life and the differences, it's kind of becoming one and the same for me. Yeah. So it's not all soft, right? Right. But it's not all sacrifice. But if I had to name it what it is, I do feel like it is more sacrifice than it is soft. But the way that works, though, is that I feel like as I'm giving Him my full yes, me and God be going head to head sometimes. We do. Because I'm His child that's going to question everything. Like, but why though? But why we got to do it that way? Why the saints got to act like this about it? Why they got to be human too? Just all kinds of stuff. And so, but I do feel Him showing me, like, I think I shared with you, it was a season that I went through of just like, I felt like I'm having to wait too long. Yes. And in the waiting, things are still happening. Bills still coming. People still are dependent on me. I still got to lead a team. I still got to trailblaze this business. Right. But I do feel like in sacrificing my yes to Him, and surrendering my yes to Him, it's like there still has been this this softness that that you never get out of a pedicure or a manicure or a massage. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's this softness that's called resting in Him and the peace that comes along with that. You know what I mean? So, girl, it's a lot of things in the practical world that still are variable, still got question marks by them because I still don't know how it's going to happen. Right. But for some reason, me giving Him that yes and falling like into it fully, put my weight on Him, put my worry on Him, I find myself in a better position than I was when I was just doing the other things. Yeah. Just living like what culture would say is a soft life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it still has softness tied into it. It just looks a little different. It looks a lot different. Yeah. Come on. It looks a lot different. And I say that, and I say a lot different. And I agree with everything that you said about it's like the sacrifice life is morphing into the soft life, but it's a matter, like for me, like I say, and I know this is something, it's me, I have a control issue. I mean, in my spiritual life, in my natural life, I have a control issue. I want to know, and I'm very much like type A, this needs to happen, then this needs to happen, and this thing. And if anything, for whatever reason, throws that off, and God's kind of like showing me like, well, I'm orchestrating this, and I have to be okay with that. And I think that's why a lot of my frustration comes in, because it's like I get frustrated naturally when I just don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I don't know what's next, or I don't know because I will have a plan from A to Z. Okay, plan C ain't working, we're going to plan D. Like, it's something. But then when you're in that and you're just like, oh, okay, like I have to trust you, and I know, and it's
so much easier said than done, which it can be done, and I'm doing it obviously, because I value my relationship with God and I want to grow. I can't be a spiritual baby forever.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to show God too that, hey, look, I do trust you, and not because I'm waiting on something, but because I truly trust you to do whatever it is that you said to do, to step out on this branch of faith, and for it to be okay. I'm gonna be walking on water, like, you know.
And I feel like if he doesn't put us in positions where we do have to sacrifice, then we would not really truly be able to trust our faith in him.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so it's like, for me, and hearing what you're saying, I can relate so well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be having a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, like all the plans. And I feel like at one point it was driving me crazy to the point where I'm anxious. To the point where I'm burning
that's what
myself out.
My therapist said, girl, you better stop that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think that God is really the cheat code for real, for real. And I'm not saying he's a cheat code in that everything is just going to click and go right and you're not going to experience any wrong, because we know that's not true. But you can go through those challenges with a different posture and stance when you know that at the end of the day, it ain't all up to me. I ain't got to figure it all out. I just got to do my part.
Right.
I just got to show up.
Achieve your soft life through your sacrifice life.
Come on.
Like, you know,
it's not one or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
like you'll achieve it through what God has asked you to do.
So essentially, it's not a sacrifice.
Exactly.
So the sacrifice,
y'all catching on?
You catching
on? Catching on?
No, that's good. That's good. It's just a trade-off.
As we're like unpacking all of this, I do want to know, like, if there has ever been a time where you chose the soft life, the rest, the calm, the easy, over your calling and what you're supposed to be doing, or what God had blatantly told you to do.
Absolutely. I feel like the season prior to the season that I'm in, to some degree, that's what I was doing. I was playing it safe. And just staying where I felt comfortable. Like, to me, that looked like going to church, saying hey to a few people, and going home. You know what I'm saying? Now it looks like, okay, now, God, where do you want me? What am I here for? Who do I need to talk to? Someone I need to give a hug? Someone I just need to smile at? What ministries am I supposed to be involved in? Like, what is my purpose here at church, and how can I help to see the vision forward? You know what I'm saying? And so, I've definitely done that in ministry. And now it's like, it's so crazy because he is truly showing me so much about myself, not in a way of like, he's showing me all of these things that he's going to do for me. He is showing me glimpses of that too. But he's also revealing things about myself that I just thought I knew already. You know what I mean? I just thought I was, doing pretty well. And he's like, well, you know, but it felt like I was doing well because I had already really mastered the level that I was at. You know what I mean? Talk about that comfort. It's like there was no more challenge because I'm at the top. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
ain't no more room to grow.
I can chill. Like,
but that's not how it works. It's like once you hit that spot where, you've capped out, he stretches you some more. And that's how you continue to grow in God. And that's what sanctification is that continuous process of growth until the day you go on to heaven. You know what I'm saying? And so, definitely have experienced that. And then on this side of it, of really allowing myself to be stretched, allowing myself to sit in the uncomfortable moments, allowing myself to have the tough conversations. It's so funny because although all of those things can come with some challenge, I do still feel like I'm overall more fulfilled.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It still comes with those same human experiences. Like, fear be trying to creep up sometimes, inadequacy, imposter syndrome, all the things. But I just feel like I told you earlier, I feel much more situated and anchored. That's the word. I feel much more anchored in my ability to handle it, even as I'm being stretched. Just because I'm not fighting against it. I'm not resisting it. I'm like, okay.
That's where I'm not at a place where I'm like fighting or resisting. I'm just trying to listen. Like, I really, obedience and like compromise has really been on my mind, like convicted me, I guess, really lately. Because there's some things that, there's a project, and I had shared with you before that, God had spoken to me. To, initiate. And I'm like, I don't really feel qualified to be doing all of this. Like, I don't, I have the background, but not really. Like, where is all the money going to come from? Like, it's just a lot. So then I stopped working on that project because let me tell you how you let me tell you how your girl works.
Tell me.
One little inconvenience. I'm like, hold on, is this God? Like, God, are you trying to tell me to put a pause on this because I feel unsure about it when I already heard and God has already spoken a word to me to do these things. He's already aligned people into my life that I would not have otherwise crossed paths with. It's crazy, like divine kind of like connections. And here I go.
Come on, talk about it.
all in my flesh.
Right.
And I'm like, oh no, this must be a sign. Like everybody knows I don't believe in coincidences at all. But I also do believe that, things will happen. Like they're kind of like speed bumps, like, or potholes rather. Like, are you going to like fall into it or are you going to go around it? Right. Okay. And I feel like in that instance, that one little hiccup that I had, and the doubt and just the uncertainty and just like all the things that I was feeling about myself, like, oh, I don't really feel qualified to do that. So, Lord, is that you? Like, like that one thing put things on pause, really. I had to get back in prayer and I'm like, okay, Jesus, I hear you. Like, it's like just to be obedient. And I realized too, the thing of compromise, it's like, okay, well, it's not that bad. Like if I just do a little bit, like at least it's not that. Like, like, girl, you're playing a dangerous game. Like you're playing a dangerous game and you don't want to. And what really was on my mind about compromise was, I think Bishop preached on this, and then I was on social media too, and I don't know if it was a post or if it was a reel, and they were talking about Samson. And his hair and just like the overall look and the overall picture rather of, people were like, oh, well, he just gave up his secret, but he had made so many different compromises that cost him, his inheritance ultimately. And that really, like that conviction set into me. And I'm like, I really am in a place where I want to do what God wants me to do. I just need to get out of my own way about it, right? And I'm like, I don't want my compromise, my disobedience. And then, I told you, the Lord had me reading Joshua, and I had the wrong impression about Joshua. When I first started reading Joshua, I'm like, oh, yes, be bold and courageous. Get these blessings. Yes, fight them off. Like, no.
Tell me what your revelation was.
The Joshua to me is more so about patience. It's about, yes, you're going to get those blessings, but you have to fight. You have, and they were literally out there fighting. Like you have to fight for your inheritance. Like it's so much. It's about literally obedience, and complete obedience. That's like good. Complete obedience, not partial obedience. Because I can't remember what tribe. It's a lot of tribes, y'all. If y'all read Joshua, y'all know it's a lot of tribes. But they had to share some of the land because they didn't drive them out completely, and that was them compromising their inheritance where it could have all been yours. But since you didn't operate in complete obedience, well, now here's what you have to deal with. Oh, yeah, that's good. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's everything. And I'm like, oh, God, I thought, I was reading Joshua because, this harvest that we was talking about is coming. Oh, yes, honey, all this inheritance is kind of, these blessings going to be raining down. And there's so much more to it. And I just think it's so funny. God is just so on time. Like it's insane because only he would have known that the book of Joshua would align with this moment in time for me. Like, I'm just like, oh God, I thank you. I thank, like, I'm truly grateful. I feel like overwhelmed, like I'm going to cry. Like, because I really am truly grateful. And when I sat back and I'm like, God has been too good for me to be sitting here trying to throw a tantrum because something's taking too long when I done spent 27 years of my life doing what I wanted to do. And he could have been like, girl, you taking too long. Like, like girl, even last week when I spoke this word and you still ain't doing it, you taking too long. But I'm still here. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, why can't I show up for God the way that he's showing up for me? Because I don't want him ever to feel like it's a one-sided relationship. I don't want my friends in this natural earth to feel that way, my family, my loved ones, and I don't want God to feel that way. Like even though he's not like tangible here, but he's here. Like, you know, and I'm like, I want to show you I'm equally invested in this, and not just because of what you can do for me, but after relationship with you.
No, that's
like,
so good.
yeah.
You said so many good things right there. And I'm trying to pick. 'Cause I'm like, wait, it was so many different things that you said, but the complete obedience, that's a good one. That is a good one. And then what were you just saying here with the revelation of Joshua? What came to my mind when you were talking about him was the whole too much is given, to whom much is given, much is required.
Much is required.
And then just being okay with what that looks like. But also trusting that God is seeing you through that. My friend was telling me the other day, yesterday actually, when a little bit of anxiety was creeping in, just about all the things that have to go on within the next like 90 days with our company to make sure that we are prepared and suitable to go ahead and move forward with the production and everything. And she was just like, you know, when God gives you vision, he also gives provision.
Yeah,
so
no, absolutely.
It's not for you to worry about, sis.
Right.
Chill.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got the easy job. God got the hard job.
He got the hard job. We just have to do.
We just got to do and
yeah.
be in tune to hear him. And then the other thing was when you were talking about you got to hear him and listen to him and everything. And another question was posed to me, and it was just like, you know, well, what does God sound like to you? Like, how do you decipher what's God, what's you, what's the enemy?
Okay. That's really hard for me to explain. That's really hard for me to explain because he kind of just sounds like it's not like that bold, like, you know, this is God. Like, you know, it's not that, but it's distinct. It kind of almost sounds like how I would sound like in my conscience, right? But it's distinct. I don't know how else to explain that. Like, you just know and you feel it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a feeling and you just know, you can hear it. That's
the same way I said it too. So I was like, you know, we have our voice. Like if I'm speaking out loud and you hear me, then we have our mental voice.
Yeah.
And so the way I explained it to my husband was like, yeah, he sounds like my voice in terms of, you know, how I would sound or how I think I would sound in my head. But it's not the sound of it that matters the most, that helps me to decipher what's God and what's not.
Right.
It's the vibration. It's what resonates with my spirit. It's the feeling, like you said. So when you say that you are listening out for God's voice, when is the last time you felt him in terms of his instruction to you as it relates to this season?
Literally today, I've been in prayer. I've been in prayer, and I feel like the Lord has been speaking a word to me every day, and it's kind of like a seed, like, oh, you know, I'm here, like, or you know, just like little nuggets, if you will, not so much a do this or do that, but it's just like provision. Yeah, it's like that guidance. It's like, you know, this is what I need you to do, or relax, don't worry about this, or it might be a scripture that's dropped into like my spirit. I say that as I'm trying to describe the
no, that's
you
good.
know, like that. It's like, okay, like otherwise, like, and even still, like, even down to, like, you know, I said the Lord had me reading Joshua. I would have never, like, you know, it was just like, it's sounded like me, but it's not me. It's like the next book you need to read is Joshua. I told you, like, whenever I'm about to be done with the book, I start praying. Where do you want me to go? Because I know the Bible, but I don't know the Bible. Like, you know, like, so I'm really leaning on God to guide me to where he wants me to be. And every single time, because I told you the other time he had me reading Job, and I was like, hold on.
Girl, I had to take a break after Job. I was like, my God, let me put the Bible down for just a second. And just digest all of this, because this is waiting.
Breathe a minute.
It's a long book of the Bible too.
It is.
Like,
I said, oh God, I don't know, but I just come to the realization too that, you know, my purpose is not like always aesthetically pleasing, and it's going to be weighted. It's going to be things that I don't want to do or that I don't understand. It's not so much that I don't want to do it. It's just that, you know, I'm battling with understanding and being a person that just relies so much on the why. You know, like that's the struggle for me, because I'm like, God, I'm on go. Send me. I want to go. Right. And now he making me stand on that. Send me, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh wait, but send me if you tell me where I'm going. You know, or you know, are you gonna give me the GPS there? Like, you know, send me if you know you're gonna give me a vest that's gonna light up so people can see me coming. Like, you know, I'm like, but it ain't like that.
That's what I do like about God, because his patience, boys, it's beyond me.
I know.
Because to be patient with me, for me to be patient with myself, I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? And I love what you were saying in terms of even as how it relates to the soft life and the sacrifice life, because God knows how he created us. He knows what we desire. He knows little bells and whistles that he gave us that really gets us going, gets us motivated, gets us inspired. So I do feel like he's already taken all of those things into account, even as he has like orchestrated our journey and the different milestones that we reach along the way, and ultimately where he's carrying us per season to season.
Right.
And I feel like his plan for us is to go from glory to glory.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But in order to get to the glory part of each season, there may be some trade-offs, some seasons where it may be a little more sacrifice. The ratios change, but all in all, I feel like we can trust him with everything.
No, absolutely.
We can trust him with our talents, our gifts, our interests. You know what I mean? And then I feel like the only time where it really is something that could be a negative in terms of soft life versus sacrifice life is if we put the soft life above what he's asking us to give up.
Yeah.
So if he's saying that in this season, soft life for you doesn't necessarily look like all the things that culture says it would. It does look like rest, or it does look like quiet time.
Right.
It does look like me giving you peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? So not really from a materialistic standpoint, but he knows what we need in such a way that, we might think we need a pedicure and all the other things that comes with the soft life and the little luxury pillows and the furry things,
little vacation,
little vacay. But he knows us so innately as our creator that he knows even more about us than we think we know about ourselves.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like that's what I can rest in, is because even though I might get on somebody's last nerve for the little tendencies that I have and the little quirks that I have, little awkward moments, God is just like, none of this is a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I've already taken all of these things into an account. And so that's another practice that I've had here lately, even in my season where I feel like it has been, started off as more sacrifice than soft life, is just invite him into it and just saying, God, I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm going to just let you know, I do want, house help. Well, wherever you taking me, just go ahead and factor that in. Get somebody that can do the laundry. Get somebody that can cook. Get somebody,
ask for what you
go
want,
ahead and ask for it.
Yeah.
And I've literally been walking in that. And I know, life is life. So it's going to look different from season to season.
No, absolutely.
But I'm approaching his throne quite boldly these days. I'm like, no, abundance is my portion. Best case scenario is my portion.
Absolutely.
I'm blessed and highly favored. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like, that is playing into why I feel like it's no longer one versus the other. It's becoming one and the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to walk in that boldness. Like it's like the door is finally opening for it, because when I think about everything that I've been through in my life, whatever it is that my purpose is, because even though I have a better understanding of what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't still fully know, what it is, that God wants me to do. Like I'm finally getting to a place where I'm walking into that door to declare boldness and authority over my life. And I feel like before, and I feel like just as good as the Lord knows you, especially with certain behaviors and things, the devil knows too.
Oh God,
and
yes.
I feel like, the enemy knows that, if I don't see things a certain way, that I'm going to start doubting things. I'm going to start, but also too, going back to that sacrifice and the worry, I'm just like, oh no, the Lord spoke it, it's going to be so. It's like, I'm trying to get to that point where it's like, I'm really not worried about this. Does it hurt? Is it uncomfortable?
Ooh, keep going.
Yes. Does it hurt? Is it uncomfortable? Absolutely it is. But I don't want to. And then also too, I think about, and I'm like, every time that something happens, I don't want the Lord to be looking at me like, girl, you being wishy-washy again.
Yes, girl.
Come on, when you going to stand on business? You know what I mean? I'm like, I want to be at the point where, I might need to watch what I say, but Jesus, where it's like, I am trusting you, no matter what's going on around me. And I feel like even in this week, even though it's only been a week,
Yeah.
it's just like, I'm like, okay, listen, I trust God. I don't really know how that's going to happen. I don't really know where it's coming, but I trust God. Let's go. We're going to put this worship music on and turn it all the way up. I can't hear nothing else. Like,
That's what I'm
drowning
talking about.
everything out. Yeah.
That's been one of my favorite lines here lately is I trust God. I
Yeah.
trust God. And then I got that from Rebecca, and she had been saying that for so long, but recently. But it's funny because when you said that, it reminded me I was reading and studying in Mark. But this was back some time ago, but I was studying it again this morning, and it talks about when Jesus was hungry and he went to the fig tree and it didn't have any figs, and so he cursed the tree. And then one of the notes that I took down was that when he cursed the tree, it wasn't him that went back, it was observation to see if it was producing fruit. It was the disciples that went back, and it was like, oh, the tree, it actually died. And like, but when Jesus says a thing, it's like he's not questioning it.
Yeah, no.
He's not going back to check to see if it worked.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He just like, you cursed. You won't, make any more fruit. You won't produce anything else. And I'm going on about my business.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I got to be like my daddy. I got to be more like in that way.
Saying that, because I remember reading Mark and that specifically, and I'm like, well, what y'all talking about? Why y'all surprised the fruit ain't growing on the tree? And Jesus said he cursed it. What's wrong with y'all? And look at me. Like, I said, ooh.
Ain't that what the kids say these days?
Clock
Girl,
it.
go clock that.
Because it's just like, it's something, the symbolism in it, right? And it's like, it is so easy to be like, when you're not in that season, because obviously I wasn't in that season at the time. I'm like, well, don't y'all know if Jesus said it, it's going to be so? So I'm like, girl, that's a reminder. Don't you know if Jesus said it, it's going to be so? What you worrying about? What are you stressing about? Just do what you're supposed to do. You're going to be all right.
No, literally. And I had to make that note. I said, say it, believe it, and carry on.
Okay, carry on. Put that on a t-shirt.
Listen, I'm telling you, carry on. And so that's where I feel like, I'm actually walking in this season. But I will say, I am coming off a cusp of like, a win and some harvest. So I feel like my faith tank it's not on E, or it's not as low as it has been at the beginning of the season. And so what I did do in those seasons, because there may be some viewers that watch and they're like, okay, that's good for you. I'm so grateful that you are walking in it now and you figured it out, but I'm still struggling. Help me.
Right. No.
So one of the things that I feel like I can leave behind in terms of what I was doing, and that more difficult part was making sure that I was around other like-minded individuals. It's gonna sound cliche and it's gonna sound like, okay, girl, but do not underestimate the power of praying friends.
No, absolutely.
Like, do not underestimate that, because a lot of the time within that circle, even if you are on E or running on fumes as far as your faith goes, you can definitely they might have some to lend you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a confession of like, I was in a room full of other young ladies, and we were doing a Bible study, and God had laid it on my heart to share what I was carrying and dealing with. And although it was already created to be a safe space that so many of the other ladies had leveraged, I hadn't really leveraged it for myself. Not for any particular reason, but I was still very new in the circle too. So I was just letting the process work itself out. And so this was the time where God was like, yeah, it's your time to share, to lean on the group, to lean on the safe space, to leverage it in that way. And when I confessed it and when I shared, not only was it like a purge for me, it was refreshing. I also received a lot of support that I felt like, okay, this might not carry me through the entire journey of what's left ahead of me, but it's going to help me get to that next step. Right? And what I feel like it did, I also feel like it kind of added wind to my back in like this supernatural way to where it helped me to reach my blessing quicker.
Yeah, give you
it
that
helped
push.
me to get to the harvest quicker, and also attract it to me. So it was like, it took some of the legwork off of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like that's what God does. And, one thing that I always say that I didn't do in this past season is stick to the routine, no matter how, like if you get up at 5 a.m. to pray every morning, no matter what's going on in your life, you still get up at 5 a.m. and pray. Now that prayer might look a little different than, it looked in your harvest season when you're in the valley, but you still getting up to pray.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Don't deviate from your schedule and your time that you've set aside from God. And in full transparency, that's something that I had done. And what's actually crazy too, as you speak about, leaning on like-minded women or just individuals in your walk with Christ, I was going to call you. And I know it was nothing but the enemy. And there was, because, our friendships, still fairly new. I was going to call you because we had literally, it was April, when I tell you we had that conversation about the harvest and how I just felt like, I was on the cusp of just something great. Girl, literally maybe a week, if that, later.
Not me tearing up because you didn't call.
It was just like my mind was just kind of like blown a little bit. But I also think that I kind of set, how we do. We set up these standards and we set up these bars and these goals and timelines for ourselves. And then when it doesn't happen, it's like it's a hard fall. It's a hard fall. And I'm just like, really should be frustrated with myself because the Lord ain't told me to do that. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm like, now I'm frustrated with God. I don't even want to talk to anyone about it. And it's almost like, too, like I was like even embarrassed to even talk about it, and I'm like, girl,
when I tell you I would have been a perfect person to talk to, I'm not even trying to toot my own horn. I'm saying that because like I've gone through the exact same thing. Like with our company, we did a whole big launch and everything a couple of years ago. Did I tell you about this?
I don't think so.
It was called Sure at the time.
Oh, I think you told. Well, let me see what the story going, and I can tell you if you told me.
It's short. I'm gonna make it real short. Basically, we did this whole entire big launch for our meeting. We invited our mentors out, investors out. We did it in like a 2-part thing. I had interns from ECU that were working on our team and helped me for like months to plan everything out. And so the first part of the event was in the daytime. And it was 2 separate events, but all kind of the launch event, right? So the first part was for like our investors, our community partners, our mentors. Girl, I can count on one hand just about how many people showed up out of the invitations that we gave out, right? So that was already like a blow to my back. And I'm just like, okay, God, I got to get through to the rest of this, event. We still have like all these other people coming, our family. That was more family and friends coming to the second part. And so that happened. I got myself together. I cried a little bit because that was tough for me. And then we got to the second part of the event and it was a great event. Granted, it was really great. I enjoyed being around the families and friends, all that kind of good stuff. Girl, we still haven't launched our product. And that was about 2 years ago. And for a long time, I was so embarrassed. Like I carried it like a failure. I carried it like it was something like just a mark on me that was just like, I can't be seen in public kind of thing, right? Because I felt like I had failed. But what I learned in that moment was, for one, it wasn't a failure. It was God communicating me. And it was honestly his grace because I was not ready. I was not ready. And for so many different reasons that we can't get into right now. But it was really his grace that was keeping me from the acceleration that I desired, because I would have met the opportunity prematurely and I would have fumbled. Either that or it would have crushed me because I didn't have the strength to bear it yet. And I'm thinking like I'm, going on, I'm doing all the things. So like, that's why I say that I felt like that would have been a good conversation for us to have.
Well, I think too, and that goes back to the obedience, because it was like dropped in my spirit. And I'm like, well, why would I call? I could think of every reason not to call you. I'm like, why would I call April? We were just talking about this. Like, I don't even want to, I'm not finna call her. We just talked about, how good of a space, I was in spiritually. I'm like, I could think of, the enemy was working hard and I was like, do your thing, because I didn't, like, obviously I didn't call. And I wish I did, but that also goes back to obedience. Like when the Lord says to do something, because I would have never known. Like, and if I didn't bring it up just now, I still would have never, I still would have never known. Right. But I just feel like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of like factors. And one thing too that got me kind of like back on track, and when I think about like that soft life versus the sacrifice life too, I'm like, I fear God. Like I fear, and not in a sense, I feel like I finally have a take on what that phrase even means now. Because before it was just like, I was thinking like, oh, I'm scared, like oogity boogity, like I'm scared of God. Like, not no, I like that. I'm like, no, it's not that. It's the fear of disappointment. Like disappointing God, all the people that I'm called to help and lead to Him, like that kind of fear. Like when I stand in the face of this man with all of his great and mighty ways, and he's like, well, Like I can't. It's like the fear, and then also too the fear that me not fulfilling my purpose is going to cost someone else their life. You know, like they might. Everybody feels like they're living now, but you know, we don't truly live. Y'all don't beat me up. We don't truly live until we're living for Christ. Like, and we die to ourselves, and we're truly living for Him.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I owe it to God to fulfill my purpose, to sacrifice whatever it is that He's telling me to sacrifice, because in the end it's only going to be for the betterment of me. It's going to be for the glorification of His kingdom, and that's what it's all about. Like that's what this natural life is all about. And I'm like, if that's something that I truly believe, and I need to put it into practice. Like there's no,
That's good.
you know what I mean? Like I need to practice what it is. And I want to ask you, because I know I had my own take of like fear of God and fulfilling purpose. What does it mean to you to fear God?
Yeah, that a lot of what you said resonates in terms of just making Him proud, right? And feeling like I did my job and I truly did my best, right? I did what He told me to do.
Yeah.
The obedience factor.
Absolutely.
When He told me to do it, I think it was you that I was talking to about immediate obedience.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even when I think about as a parent, right? I don't want my kids to be afraid of me to where they are afraid to approach me. They're
Right.
afraid
No,
to have
absolutely.
a conversation with me, because then
Yeah.
I really can't parent them to my fullest potential, right?
Right.
And how I'm meant to. So in the same way, when I think of God, it's not a fear like He's the boogeyman, like you said.
Right, yeah.
It's a fear of reverence. I
Yeah,
honor you. I appreciate
absolutely.
you. You know what I'm saying?
So I want you to like give me that golden sticker, like, you know what I
Right.
mean? I want you to say, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing a good job."
Right.
Like,
Because how do we treat people that we're not afraid of?
exactly. Yeah.
If I'm not scared of you, we on the same level.
Yeah, we are. And
Just about.
it just is what
Either
it
that
is.
or, you know.
You know? Yeah.
But so like for God, it's like, yeah, I want to constantly, what did somebody say? It was a good word, esteem Him higher than myself.
Yeah, no,
That's what
absolutely.
fearing God is for me, is esteeming Him higher than me, so that I have a level of respect when His presence is in the room. I have a level of respect when He says, April, do this, don't do that,
Right.
or whatever, because I know me,
Yeah.
and I can be rebellious.
No,
like
same.
I'm always seeking some type of adrenaline rush, some
Yeah.
thrill, whatever the case may be. Like I need to be, in order for someone to guide me and direct me, typically I have to reverence you or honor you in certain, a certain way. And
Yeah.
so that's what it means to me to fear God.
Oh, I love that. Okay. And to me, it's about understanding the responsibility of purpose. Now, when I think about that, it's like automatically it's bigger than me. Kind of like what I already said. It's
Right.
like it's bigger than me. It's not about me. I have a job to do while I'm here. What is it, or what is your take really on like understanding the responsibility of purpose, and what does that look like?
Yeah. And it wasn't until you just said it and asked me that question that I thought about it differently.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it is about me, not in a sense that I'm the center of attention.
Right now.
But God chose me because I'm the one that can carry it out. I'm the one that's supposed to carry it out. I'm the one that's
Yeah.
called to carry it out. Now, granted, He can choose anybody He wants to, and He can always make a shift or whatever He needs to do.
No, absolutely.
But He chose me because it's me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that's a flex a little bit.
No, it is.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it absolutely
like, oh, God
is.
chose me. Okay.
Yeah. You want me to get it done?
And
I'll
I
get it
feel like
done.
so often we look at it as like, oh, God chose me. Like, I'm chosen. Like, this is weighty. This is this. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's like, oh, He chose me. So I got
Yeah.
something that if God chose me, then baby,
Yeah.
I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, I'm not sweating about everything else that people are saying in terms of what it should look like or how I should carry this out. God, you know
It's
what I'm
gonna
saying?
carry
He
it.
anointed me to carry this.
Yes.
So, or He ordained me to carry it. So it's
Yes.
like, nah. So that's where I'm walking with it now, because for so long I did see my purpose as something that was separate from me, like just a duty. Just a mission, just an assignment. But now
Yeah.
I'm seeing my life as the purpose.
Yeah, no,
You know what
I
I'm
definitely,
saying?
because I see the way that you've explained it. I'm like, oh, actually, that's exactly how I look at it. But the way I articulate it might make it seem like I,
Yeah. Yeah, I get
separate the two.
Yeah.
But it's like it really is a flex too. It's like it's a responsibility, but it's a flex. It's like, okay, Jesus, what you know that I don't know? I mean, he know everything, but I'm like, okay, I can do this. Okay, and it's a matter of believing that you can, so that you will.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Because I always say, like, even if you don't believe it, you're not gonna achieve it. I mean, that's cliche, but it's really true.
It's the truth. And I want to believe what God believes about me. And so I question him about that a lot. Like, what do you believe about me that I don't believe about myself yet? Like, help me to connect the two.
I'm gonna start making that my prayer. Because I want to know.
Yeah. What do you believe about me that I don't believe about myself in this moment? And help me to draw closer to that.
Right. Yeah.
And so it the way that it's manifesting is increased empowerment and confidence, even in the spaces and places where typically I would feel like I need to shrink, or I feel like I'm out of place, or I feel like I'm inadequate. But even with imposter syndrome, for anyone who is dealing with that, imposter syndrome is well, this is what I've heard someone say. It's not believing that you're not the right person. How does she say it? It's the lie that you tell yourself that you don't have anything to offer. Like you're lying to yourself, trying to make yourself believe that you're not the person for the job.
I talked about that a little bit too in one of my previous episodes, and that like really hits home. And it's just like, when you are in, and I really can resonate with that feeling, like, what do I have to offer? Like, it's kind of like, God, help me see me from your point of view, because right now I really don't see, like, I hear what you're telling me, but I don't see this in me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can really resonate with that. And that's also a very, I don't know, a particular place to be, because you have to choose. What are you going to believe? Like, you know what I mean? You have to choose. And if you don't choose to believe it, you don't know where you might, really end up with it. Because I mean, it's one of those things too that it goes back to, having that community of people that can kind of like feed into you. Not that you need someone to convince you to be who God called you to be, but maybe to like help you and mentor you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Reignite.
Exactly.
All
all of those things, because girl, you said a mouthful with that. Like literally a mouthful.
I'm telling you, because I'm living it.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I'm like, reignite me. My flame is sparking, baby. Come tell me something. What I need to hear. We need that. Because like Pastor Trev says all the time, we weren't made to do life alone.
No, not at all.
We weren't made to do life alone. And so often we don't just separate ourselves, because I do believe in separation. I do believe that there are times where we need to go away like Jesus did and fast and pray and be alone and seek out God for ourselves. But I also feel like there's a difference between separation and isolation.
Absolutely.
And so with separation, you're still connected and accessible to an extent. There may be boundaries and things in place, but you're still accessible, right? Isolation is you sever the connection and like you on an island at this point.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do that with open wounds, like as a wounded person. And not only do we isolate ourselves wounded, so now that we're our own selves only help, essentially. At least that's what we're telling ourselves, right? And then, the wounds begin to fester. They begin to become infected. Then we try to mask it so that we can stay on our island and nobody come to mess with us. Then we a whole big mess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, isolation is a silent killer. Like, it will. And when you made the reference to the wounds, I'm literally thinking, like, you're trying to medicate. You're not a doctor. You're not a nurse. You're trying to medicate yourself, and you need people that are designated to help you, but you don't have that because you are in this period of isolation and you're feeling so alone, you're lost and essentially dying, because the wounds will kill you if left untreated. Like, you know what I mean?
Come on.
Girl,
yeah, come on, word.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. All in all, God will perform His word. He will not abandon His word. And one thing is that we have to remember when we are living this sacrificed life, whether we're morphing it into our new soft life, He will stand firm on His word. And just know that whatever you are, God's Spirit will be also. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Complete, I am becoming God's prodigy.